Some people say you can't buy love, but what if you could rent it? Just for a week. Just long enough to heal a broken heart. This is the story of a desperate father, a compassionate stranger, and the little girl who brought them together in the most unexpected way. Marcus Holloway stood beneath the crystal chandeliers of Laurent's Patisserie, the kind of upscale bakery where a single cupcake cost more than most people's lunch. His tailored charcoal suit hung differently now, looser around the shoulders than it had been a year ago. Weight he'd lost during sleepless nights and skipped meals. His tie was slightly askew, evidence of a 14-hour workday that had started before dawn and showed no signs of ending anytime soon. But none of that mattered right now, because clutching his hand with the fierce determination only a 4-year-old possesses was his daughter, Lily. Her copper-brown pigtails, tied with ribbons he'd struggled to get right that morning, bounced with each excited step. Her small finger pressed against the pristine display glass, leaving tiny smudges that the staff would probably clean the moment they left. "Daddy, look! The pink ones with the sparkles!" Her voice carried that breathless quality of pure wonder, the kind adults spend their whole lives trying to recapture. Her hazel eyes, so much like his own, sparkled with a hope that made Marcus's chest tighten painfully. Tomorrow was Lily's 5th birthday. And for the past 3 weeks, she had asked him the same question every single night at bedtime, every morning at breakfast, every afternoon when he picked her up from preschool. "Will Mama be there, Daddy? Will she come to my party?" The question haunted him in his dreams. It followed him into board meetings and conference calls. It echoed in every empty corner of their too large house. His ex-wife Vanessa had walked away from them 10 months ago, not in a blaze of anger or a storm of accusations, but quietly, methodically, like someone checking out of a hotel they never really wanted to stay in. She'd left a note on the kitchen counter, neat handwriting on expensive stationery, explaining that she couldn't handle it anymore. The pressure of being married to a tech CEO, the constant scrutiny from the media, the endless social obligations, the feeling that she was nothing more than an accessory to his success. She'd promised to stay in touch with Lily. That promise had lasted exactly 6 weeks. 1 awkward phone call, 2 text messages, then silence. Complete, devastating silence. Marcus had tried everything to protect Lily from the truth. He'd made excuses, told her that Mommy was very busy with important work, that she was traveling far away but thinking about her every day, that she loved her so much but just couldn't visit right now. But children aren't stupid. They feel truth, the way animals sense storms coming. Lily had stopped asking about the phone calls that never came. She'd stopped drawing pictures addressed to Mommy. She developed this habit of going very still and quiet whenever other children talked about their mothers. And now, with her 5th birthday party less than 24 hours away, she'd fixated on one singular hope, that her mother would finally show up, that whatever had kept her away would somehow magically resolve itself, that she'd walk through the door and everything would be okay again. The bakery clerk, a young woman with a professional smile and a name tag that read Jessica, approached their section of the counter. "Good evening. How can I help you today?" Her voice had that practiced cheerfulness of someone who'd said the same words 1,000 times. Before Marcus could formulate a response, another woman emerged from the kitchen area behind the display. She moved with a natural grace that immediately caught his attention, not because she was trying to be noticed, but because there was something genuine in the way she carried herself. She had warm, intelligent eyes the color of honey and auburn hair pulled back in a loose braid that suggested practicality over vanity. She wore a cream-colored blouse with the bakery's logo embroidered discreetly on the collar, and flour dusted one of her sleeves. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice softer than the clerk's but somehow more present. "I couldn't help but overhear." She knelt down slowly, bringing herself to Lily's eye level with the kind of natural ease that spoke of experience with children. "The pink ones with the sparkles are my absolute favorites too. Do you know why?" Lily shook her head, suddenly shy but intrigued. "Because they taste like strawberries and dreams," the woman said conspiratorially. "That's not an official flavor, but that's what I tell people." A smile broke across Lily's face like sunrise, the first genuine smile Marcus had seen from her in days. It transformed her features, chasing away the sadness that had become far too familiar there. He felt something shift in his chest, a sensation he couldn't quite name. Hope mixed with desperation, mixed with something else entirely. "What's your name, sweetheart?" the woman asked gently. "Lily. Lily Holloway. And tomorrow is my birthday, and I'm going to be 5 years old." She held up all 5 fingers with such pride that both adults couldn't help but smile. "5 is such a wonderful age," the woman said warmly. "I'm Claire. It's very nice to meet you, Lily." Marcus cleared his throat, suddenly aware that he'd been staring. "We'll take 24 of the pink ones for tomorrow's party." His voice came out rougher than he'd intended, weighted with exhaustion and emotion. As Claire stood to prepare the order, moving behind the counter with practiced efficiency, Lily reached out and tugged on her sleeve. The gesture was spontaneous, innocent, devastating. "Excuse me, Miss Claire?" Lily's voice was small now, tentative. "Yes, honey?" Claire turned back, giving Lily her complete attention. "Are you a mommy?" The question hung in the air like a crystal about to shatter. Marcus froze. The clerk busied herself with suddenly urgent paperwork. And Claire's expression flickered with something complex, something that looked like old pain and present compassion meeting in the same moment. "No, sweetheart," she answered softly, honestly. "Not yet, but maybe someday." In that instant, watching his daughter's face fall just slightly, watching her process another reminder of what she didn't have, Marcus's mind began racing down a path he'd never imagined walking. Lily had invited 23 children to her birthday party tomorrow. 23 children who would arrive with their mothers. Mothers who would smile and chat and help cut cake and organize games. Mothers who would be there. All of Marcus's friends knew about Vanessa leaving. They knew about the abandonment, the broken promises, the devastating silence. They would see Lily's face when she realized her mother hadn't come. They would witness that moment of hope dying. The pity in their eyes would be unbearable. But worse, infinitely worse, would be Lily's pain. The way her shoulders would slump. The way she'd try so hard to be brave. The way she'd smile through tears later that night when he tucked her into bed and told her everything would be okay when they both knew it wasn't. An impossible, insane, desperate idea began forming in Marcus's mind. It was crazy. It was inappropriate. It was probably illegal in some way he couldn't quite define. But as he watched Claire carefully box up the cupcakes with the same gentle attention she'd given Lily, as he saw his daughter's face light up again just from being near someone who radiated that maternal warmth, he couldn't make the idea go away. After Claire finished with the order and Marcus had paid, he asked quietly, his heart hammering, "Could we speak privately for just a moment?" Claire looked surprised but nodded. She glanced at the clerk. "Jessica, could you watch the front for a minute?" Lily had already drifted over to the large saltwater aquarium built into the wall near the entrance, pressing her face against the glass to watch the tropical fish drift through their illuminated world. Marcus kept her in his peripheral vision as he and Claire stepped toward a quiet corner near the kitchen entrance. "This is going to sound absolutely insane," Marcus began, his voice low and urgent, the words tumbling out before he could stop them or think better of what he was about to propose. "I want you to know that up front. What I'm about to ask is crazy, and you should probably call security. But I'm a desperate father, and I don't know what else to do." Claire's expression shifted to something cautious but not unkind. "Okay," she said slowly. "I'm listening." Marcus took a breath that felt like it might be his last normal one. "My daughter is heartbroken that her mother won't be at her birthday party tomorrow. All the other kids will have their mothers there, every single one of them. And Lily has been asking about hers for weeks, and I've been lying to her, telling her I don't know, when the truth is that her mother abandoned us and hasn't called or visited or so much as a text message in 10 months. He watched Claire's face, saw the compassion deepen in her eyes. "I'm so sorry," she said quietly. "That must be incredibly difficult for both of you." "She didn't just divorce me," Marcus continued, the words bitter on his tongue. "She walked away from Lily, a 4-year-old child who did absolutely nothing wrong except be born to a woman who realized she didn't want to be a mother. And tomorrow, Lily is going to be surrounded by families who are whole and complete, and she's going to smile and pretend everything is fine because she's learned to do that now. She's 4 years old, and she's already learned how to hide her pain to make other people comfortable. His voice cracked slightly on the last words. He paused, fighting for composure. Claire waited patiently, not rushing him, just present. I know this is completely inappropriate, Marcus said, forcing himself to meet her eyes. I know we're total strangers. I know everything about this is wrong. But would you consider something for me? Would you consider pretending to be my wife for 1 week, just through the birthday party tomorrow and a few days afterward, just long enough so that Lily doesn't feel the absence so acutely, just long enough to give her one happy memory she can hold on to? The words hung between them, impossible and desperate. Claire's eyes widened. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. You're asking me to lie to a child. The question wasn't accusatory, but it was direct. I'm asking you to give her one day where she feels loved and complete and not abandoned, Marcus said. I'm asking you to help me protect her from a pain she's too young to understand. I'm asking you to be kind to a little girl who has done nothing to deserve what life has dealt her. Mr. Holloway. Marcus, please. Marcus, Claire said carefully, I understand you're in pain. I understand you're trying to protect your daughter. But this is... I'll pay you whatever you need, Marcus interrupted, hating himself for it, but unable to stop. I own Holloway Technologies. Money genuinely isn't an issue. Name your price. I'm not trying to buy you. I'm trying to give my daughter one birthday where she doesn't cry herself to sleep afterward. Claire shook her head slowly, processing. This isn't about money. Then please, Marcus said, and his voice broke completely this time. Just watch her for a moment. Really look at her. They both turned to watch Lily, who was still at the aquarium, her small hands pressed against the glass, talking to the fish in that way children do when they believe everything deserves conversation and friendship. Her pigtails caught the light from the tank, turning her hair into something almost magical. She looked so small, so innocent, so unbearably vulnerable. She cries herself to sleep some nights, Marcus said quietly, calling for her mama, not understanding why she's gone, not understanding what she did wrong. I hold her and I tell her she did nothing wrong, that mommy loves her but just can't be here right now, and I feel the lies burning in my throat, but I don't know what else to say. His hands clenched into fists at his sides. Tomorrow, she's going to be surrounded by children with their complete families. She's going to see what she doesn't have. And I have tried everything I can think of to shield her from this pain, but I can't make her mother come back. I can't undo the abandonment. I can't fix what's broken. But maybe, just maybe, I can give her one day where she feels whole. Claire was quiet for a long moment, her gaze still fixed on Lily. When she finally spoke, her voice was measured, thoughtful. 1 week? Just 1 week, Marcus confirmed quickly. You'd stay in our guest house, completely separate. I would never, ever ask anything inappropriate. You'd attend the party tomorrow, maybe share a few meals with us, be present for a few days so the transition feels gradual. Then you go back to your life. I'll tell her you had to go away for work or family or something gentle and understandable. But for right now, for tomorrow, she'd have what every other child at that party has. This is the strangest thing anyone has ever asked me, Claire said. But there was something in her tone that wasn't quite refusal. I know, Marcus admitted. If you say no, I completely understand. I'll take my cupcakes and leave and never bother you again, and probably spend the next 10 years feeling mortified that I even asked. But I'm a father who would do literally anything to protect his daughter from pain, even something as insane as this. Claire looked at him for a long moment, studying his face with an intensity that made him feel transparent. Whatever she saw there, whatever she was looking for, she seemed to find it. I'm an elementary school teacher, she said finally. 1st grade. I've been working with children for 8 years. I've seen what parental absence does to them. I've seen the way it shapes their understanding of themselves and their worth. I've held crying children who don't understand why mommy or daddy isn't there for the school play or the field trip or the parent-teacher conference. She paused, choosing her words carefully. I've also seen how much healing can come from feeling loved and secure, even briefly. How much a child can flourish when they feel safe and valued. Marcus held his breath, afraid that any movement might tip the scales the wrong way. 1 week, Claire said. her voice gaining conviction. But we need clear boundaries. No physical contact beyond what's necessary for appearances. I sleep in the guest house with a locked door and complete privacy. You pay me a fair rate for my time, not because I'm doing this for money, but because this is labor and my time has value. And most importantly, you need to have a plan for what happens afterward. A real plan, not just figuring it out later. Relief flooded through Marcus so powerfully it made him dizzy. I'll figure it out, he promised. I'll tell her you're a friend who helped make her birthday special. I'll tell her you had to return to your own life. I'll find a therapist who specializes in childhood grief and abandonment. I'll do whatever it takes. But right now, right in this moment, I just need to get her through tomorrow without her heart breaking. Claire nodded slowly. Okay, we should exchange numbers, and I'll need your address. What time should I arrive? The party starts at 2, Marcus said, already pulling out his phone with shaking hands. Could you come at 1? That way Lily can see you before everyone arrives. Make it feel more natural. They exchanged information quickly, professionally, like they were arranging a business meeting rather than the strangest arrangement either of them had ever entered into. As they finished, Lily came bounding back over, her face flushed with excitement. Daddy, did you see the purple fish? It was this big. She held her hands apart in that way children do that suggests every fish is actually the size of a whale. I saw, sweetheart, Marcus said, his voice softer now, weighted with hope and fear and something close to wonder. Miss Claire will see you tomorrow, right? Lily asked suddenly, with that child's intuition for important things. Yes, honey, Claire said gently. I'll see you tomorrow. Happy early birthday. Lily beamed and waved enthusiastically as Marcus guided her toward the exit, the box of carefully packaged cupcakes in his other hand. As they stepped out into the cooling evening air, Marcus felt the full weight of what he just set in motion. It was insane. It was desperate. It was possibly the worst decision he'd ever made. But when Lily squeezed his hand and said, Daddy, I like Miss Claire. She's nice like a mommy should be, he felt that flicker of hope again. Maybe, just maybe, he'd done the right thing. The night passed in a blur of party preparations and anxious second-guessing. Marcus decorated the backyard with streamers and balloons in Lily's favorite colors, lavender and pink. He set up the tables and chairs that the rental company had delivered. He arranged the gift table and the activities station and checked his phone approximately 700 times to make sure he hadn't imagined Claire's agreement. At 12:45 the next day, Marcus was practically wearing a path in the floor with his pacing. Lily, resplendent in her new birthday dress, a confection of tulle and ribbons that she'd picked out herself, kept running to the window. Is she coming, Daddy? Is Mommy coming? Each time she asked, Marcus felt his heart fracture a little more. Someone special is coming, sweetheart, he said carefully, sticking to the script he'd rehearsed 100 times in his head. Someone who's very excited to celebrate with you. At exactly 1 o'clock, the doorbell rang. Lily shrieked with pure joy and went racing toward the front door with the reckless speed of a child who believes good things are finally happening. Marcus followed more slowly, his heart in his throat, dazed, wondering if Claire would actually be there or if this whole thing had been some kind of stress-induced hallucination. But when Lily flung open the door, there was Claire, standing on the front steps in a soft yellow sundress that made her look like she'd stepped out of a summer afternoon. Her hair was down now, falling in gentle waves around her shoulders. She held a wrapped present and wore a smile that looked remarkably genuine. Happy birthday, Lily, Claire said warmly. And then, without any hesitation at all, without any of the awkwardness Marcus had feared, Lily launched herself forward and wrapped her small arms around Claire's legs in a spontaneous, desperate hug. The gesture was so pure, so full of need and hope that Marcus felt his throat tighten dangerously. Claire handled it perfectly, setting down the gift and kneeling to properly return the embrace. I'm so glad I could be here for your special day, she said into Lily's hair. Over his daughter's head, Claire met Marcus's eyes. Something passed between them in that moment, some unspoken understanding that this was bigger than either of them had anticipated, that Lily's need was profound and real, and that they were now both responsible for handling it with care. Marcus watched from the doorway as Claire listened to Lily's excited chatter about the party preparations, about who was coming, about the games they were going to play. He watched his daughter's face, seeing it transform in ways he hadn't witnessed in almost a year. The light had returned to her eyes. The animation had returned to her gestures. She was laughing, really laughing. Not the careful, controlled sounds she made when she was trying to convince him she was okay. The party itself was everything Marcus had hoped for, and more. Claire moved through the afternoon with natural grace, as if she'd been part of their family all along. She helped serve the elaborate castle-shaped birthday cake. She organized the treasure hunt that had the children running through the garden shrieking with delight. She painted faces and refereed minor disputes and made sure every child felt included and special. But more than any of that, she paid attention to Lily. She noticed when Lily's shoes were bothering her and quietly helped her change into more comfortable ones. She saw when Lily was getting overwhelmed by all the attention and created a moment for them to step away together to check on something special. She was there for the candle blowing and the present opening and every other moment that mattered. The other parents watched with knowing smiles. Marcus heard their whispered conversations, their assumptions that this was a new relationship, someone helping Marcus and Lily heal and move forward. He didn't correct them. The lie felt both easier and more complicated than the truth. As the last families departed, as the sun began its lazy descent toward the horizon, Marcus found Claire in the kitchen helping to clean up despite his protests. "You don't have to do that," he said. "I know," Claire replied, loading paper plates into the trash bag, "but it feels strange to just stand around while there's work to be done." They worked in comfortable silence for a few minutes before Lily came running in, still wearing her birthday crown, her face flushed with happiness. "That was the best party ever," she announced. "Thank you, Daddy. Thank you, Miss Claire." She hugged them both, fierce and grateful, and so heart-wrenchingly happy that Marcus had to look away to hide the emotion in his eyes. Over the next few days, something unexpected began to happen. Claire didn't just play a role. She became present in their lives in ways that felt increasingly real. She came over for dinner, and they discovered she was funny and smart and had opinions about everything from politics to the best way to make pancakes. She helped Lily with a puzzle one evening. The two of them sprawled on the living room floor, laughing at the little girl's running commentary about why certain pieces were being stubborn. She read bedtime stories in different voices, bringing characters to life in ways that had Lily begging for just one more chapter. Marcus found himself drawn to her authenticity in ways he hadn't anticipated. Claire was nothing like Vanessa, who had wanted the spotlight and the status and all the glamorous trappings of being married to a successful CEO. Claire found joy in simple moments. She appreciated the quiet morning coffee before Lily woke up. She noticed the small things, like the way the garden looked in early morning light, or the way Lily's laugh changed depending on what she found funny. She was present in a way Vanessa had never been, even before she'd left. They talked late into the evenings after Lily fell asleep, conversations that ranged from superficial to surprisingly deep. Marcus learned that Claire had wanted to be a marine biologist before falling in love with teaching, that she'd grown up in a small town and still called her parents every Sunday, that she believed in kindness as a radical act and second chances and the fundamental goodness of people. And Claire learned about Marcus in return. Not the polished CEO version that appeared in business magazines, but the real person underneath. The father who lay awake at night worrying about whether he was enough for his daughter. The man who'd built a successful company but felt like he was failing at the only thing that truly mattered. The person who was trying so hard to hold everything together while feeling like he was constantly on the verge of falling apart. On the fifth day, as they sat in the garden while Lily played with her new birthday toys nearby, Claire turned to Marcus with an expression that was both gentle and serious. "You know this has to end soon," she said quietly. "She's getting attached, more attached than we anticipated." "I know," Marcus replied, his chest tight with the weight of impending loss. "I just haven't figured out how to tell her." "Tell her the truth," Claire said. "Age-appropriate truth, that I'm a friend who cares about her very much, that you wanted her to feel special for her birthday, that I have my own life to return to, but that doesn't mean I don't care. Children can handle truth much better than we give them credit for. Marcus nodded, knowing she was right but hating it anyway. What if I asked you to stay? The words escaped before he could stop them, tumbling out raw and honest and desperate in ways he hadn't intended. Claire looked at him with surprise, her honey-colored eyes wide. Marcus, not as a role, he continued, the words flowing now that he'd started. Not as a job or an arrangement, as yourself, as Claire. Lily adores you, and I. He paused, choosing his words carefully because they mattered, because everything mattered now. I've been half alive since Vanessa left, going through motions, functioning but not living. But this week, watching you with Lily, talking with you late at night after she goes to bed, I've remembered what it feels like to hope for something, to want something for myself, not just for my daughter. Claire's expression softened, but she didn't speak, letting him finish. We barely know each other, he admitted. This whole thing has been backwards and strange and probably the most unconventional way two people have ever met. But I'd like to know you. Really know you. No pretending. No roles. Just us, figuring out if this feeling I have, that you might be someone extraordinary, is real. We barely know each other, Claire echoed, but her voice was soft, not dismissive. Then let's get to know each other, Marcus said. For real. Start over. Would you have dinner with me? A real date? No daughter, no roles, just two people seeing if there's something here worth exploring? Claire smiled, and it reached her eyes, transforming her face into something luminous. I would like that very much. They told Lily the truth that evening, both of them sitting with her in her bedroom, keeping it gentle and honest. Marcus explained that Claire had been a very special friend who had helped make her birthday wonderful, that they had wanted her to feel loved and celebrated, and that now they wanted to spend more time together to see if they could become a real family. But that took time and getting to know each other. So Miss Claire might become my real mommy someday? Lily asked, looking between them with those wise, innocent eyes that saw more than adults ever gave her credit for. Maybe someday, Claire said honestly, but only if that's what we all want. Only if we all get to know each other and decide we want to be a family together, and only after we spend time being friends first. For now, I'm someone who cares about you very, very much. Is it okay? Lily considered this with the seriousness of a child making an important decision. Then she nodded and threw her arms around both of them. Okay, I like you, Miss Claire. You're nice and you read good stories and you don't make pancakes that are too squishy. Claire laughed, surprised. Well, that's the highest compliment I could receive. The months that followed were careful and intentional. Marcus and Claire dated properly, getting to know each other without the pressure of roles or pretense. They discovered they had more in common than they'd expected. They found that conversations flowed easily, that silences were comfortable, that they laughed at the same absurd things. They also learned how to navigate the complicated reality of dating while parenting. Claire set careful boundaries, making sure Lily understood that she was special, but not replacing her mother. That she was someone new in their lives, someone who cared, but that Lily's feelings about her mother were valid and could coexist with new relationships. They went slowly, intentionally, building something real on a foundation that had started with desperation, but had transformed into genuine connection. And Lily, resilient in the way children are when given love and honesty, began to heal. Not because Claire replaced her mother, but because she learned that love could come in different forms. That family could be built as well as born into. That people could choose each other, and that choice could be just as powerful as blood. 6 months after that desperate proposal in a bakery, on a crisp autumn afternoon, Marcus and Claire were married in a small ceremony in the garden where they'd first admitted their feelings were real. Lily, now 5.5, served as flower girl, her joy so complete and genuine that everyone in attendance felt it like sunshine. It wasn't a fairy tale built on deception and pretense. It was something better, a real love built on honesty and patience and genuine connection. A family built not from perfection, but from people who chose each other with open hearts and clear eyes. And Lily, who had spent so many nights crying for a mother who had abandoned her, finally had a family that was whole. Not because Claire had replaced Vanessa, but because they had all chosen to create something new together. something built on truth and love and the courage to be vulnerable. Sometimes the greatest gifts in life come from moments of desperate courage, from being willing to ask strangers for help in your darkest hours, from taking chances on people we barely know, from believing that love can be built intentionally, carefully, honestly. And sometimes what starts as an act of desperation, as a crazy proposal in a bakery between strangers, becomes the beginning of something beautifully, impossibly real. Not perfect, not a fairy tale, but real and honest and full of the kind of love that chooses to show up every single day. The kind of love that holds on during difficult moments. The kind of love that builds families not from obligation, but from choice. This is that story, a story of heartbreak and healing, of strangers becoming family, of love found in the most unexpected places, and of a little girl named Lily who taught two adults that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let someone new into your heart. Finally, we've reached the end of this story. I'm extremely happy that you've made it this far. Thank you very much for watching. Comment below what you thought and what was the best or worst part. Don't forget to subscribe. Until next time.